It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Welcome, everyone, to the Divas That Care Network. I'm your host, Amy McKenzie. Today's show, The Wow of Women, features the remarkable journeys of women whose powerful and extraordinary choices positively impact other people's lives. Very excited to introduce you today to Alante. She is Collier, I should say. She's quite remarkable. Let me tell you a little bit about her before we bring her over. Alante is a straight-line business strategist and also the founder of the Business Pivot. She was an engineer turned entrepreneur. What a great story. And she combines her strategy, expertise, passion for entrepreneurship, and joy for coaching to help entrepreneurs reach their highest potential. So I know we've got a lot of listeners out there that will benefit from this show. Alante, thank you for making the time. Welcome to the show. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you so much, Amy, for having me.
Yes, and you're down there in Atlanta, Georgia right now, a wonderful city, and making a lot happen. Well, before we talk about today and what's happening in your world, take us back a little bit. You know, business strategist coach. You didn't walk out of high school with that title, so I'm sure there was a journey. Share with us a little bit about, you know, how this came about for you. You know, what's the early days look like for Alante?
Yeah. So I'll date back to 2017, which is where my journey began. And I had just graduated from college, secured my engineering degree. And actually a few years prior to that, I was coaching women in holistic health in their transformation processes. So fast forwarding to summer 2017, graduated. I didn't have anything lined up about the first 3 months or so. So I launched my holistic health blog, and that was my start of this whole entrepreneurship thing. And so I took the steps to learn how to monetize that blog, but then I jumped into the project management space. Started that career, and my focus was just climbing up that corporate ladder. And so that's what I did for about a couple of years. And so a year into my career, I knew that that whole traditional mindset of go to school, get a job, work and pay your bills, and then work until retirement, I knew that that wasn't for me, just because, you know, just being in that space and having the different C-suite mentors that I had and just looking down the road, I just knew that, you know, working 10, 20, 30 plus years just until retirement just wasn't for me. And so even with a great company, right, even with a great pay, great benefits, great everything, at the end of the day, I crave fulfillment and I crave freedom. So, you know, just entering my second year into my project management career, I was running projects of over about $850,000, averaging about 30% gross margin. And that's when I fell in love with profit margins, and that's when I fell in love with strategy. So, you know, in that second year, I started just planning my exit strategy because I knew this was not the road for me. And so I combined my engineering, you know, background with my strategy expertise and with my, you know, experience of coaching and my joy of coaching and just my passion for entrepreneurship. I did all of that, combined all of that into what I do today. So in April of 2019, I launched my first profitable location independent business. And actually on December 30th of 2019, I left corporate for good. And this is what I do today. So I spent the next 6 months just building up this coaching business. I actually dropped everything and moved on to the West Coast, hired a coach to put all the goodness together and create this masterpiece. And this is what I do today, currently.
Wow, what a story. And I love how you use strategy to really kind of inspect, if you will, your own life to see where the holes were and what strategy you could then apply to move yourself into an outcome that was really satisfying as opposed to what might, it sounds like, have been an experience of kind of a ball and chain around your legs going forward in a very good career. But yes, and that does work, thankfully, quite well for people, many people, which we're so grateful for their services. But it isn't for everyone. Neither is entrepreneurship either, of course. It takes some chutzpah to clearly have that. So, you know, you did it wisely. You didn't just, you know, run out and give up the day job. You built it up first. Tell me a little bit about what you mean when you say profitable center, profitable business center.
Yeah,
that's a virtual center?
No. So the profitable location independent. Yeah. So my first business launcher was a travel business, and it was a business that I was passionate in, something that I just truly loved doing. And so that was just my first venture. And so in that travel business, I got to the point where I was getting in clients, and I was booking all these different trips for all these different people, from honeymoons to girls' trips and all these different things. And I cracked the code. I found out that in order to have a sustaining, thriving business, one, you have to have a vision for what that looks like, and then you have to have a strategy. But it all comes down to just operating out of what your genius zone is, what you're truly passionate about, and then centering that there, and then you can strategize and take the necessary steps to accomplish those goals and to continue building that business, get that off the ground, and go forth. And so that's what I did. And that was my first just cracking the code in this entrepreneurship world. I actually went through 4 business models alone before I cracked and found my winner. And so I had a little bit of that imposter syndrome first starting out, and then a little bit of that shiny object syndrome. But yeah, that was my first, just my first way of cracking the code in this entrepreneurship world with that location independent business in the world of travel.
That's great. So when you mentioned Genius Zone, which I'm sure is part of your coaching, let's move into that for a minute. So let's say you have someone who's just really not clear what that is, whether they've been in the career for a long time or they're just getting started in life, they bump up against that. Give me an example of how you might help someone actually identify their genius zone if they haven't yet.
Yeah, so there's 3 different components that all add up to your genius zone. And your genius zone is more than what you're naturally gifted at. It's more than what you have a passion for. Yes, those are 2 components, but the last component is your story. So you take all 3 of those, you find the intersection, and that is where your genius zone lies. And so in recognizing and finding that helps you give the confidence to tackle whatever business issues that you may come across, to have the confidence to overcome that imposter syndrome and just hit the ground running and absolutely kill it in this world. So that's pretty much what I teach with the Genius Zone.
I love the imposter syndrome. Whenever you're starting something new, you feel like, right? Fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Right. Great. And very clear. Coaching, it seems to me, is very clear and concise with practice because you're a strategist, so that makes perfect sense. So a little bit, let's, wanting to emulate what you're doing, Alante. Resources that help you define this for yourself, books you've read or mentors that you've studied under. What would you say are some of the most inspiring? If someone were to go out and get a book that you read, what would you recommend?
Oh man, books. Well, I'll start from just the very beginning before I even got into books because I was one of those people that was trapped in that learning cycle. Right. So when I first started that holistic health blog right out of college, I took a 6-week course from Nicole Walters, who taught me how to monetize that course, monetize that blog. And so from just taking her teachings and then going into different other experts from Richard Matheru and Russell Brunson. Russell Brunson for me was the gold mine. That's when I started digging into his books, Expert Secrets, .com Secrets, Traffic Secrets, the whole trilogy. That was absolutely great for me. But what gave me that
say
mindset?
Say this again because you're going a little fast. Slow down. Expert Secrets.
Yeah.
Is that okay? And the authors?
Yeah, so Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. And then he also has two other books in that trilogy. In that trilogy. So he has .com Secrets and Traffic Secrets. And so that was like the gold mine for online businesses and digital marketing. But what gave me that mindset switch was Robert Kiyosaki's series, that Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and the business of the 21st century. That is what gave me that mindset switch. And then Russell Brunson's books gave me the strategy to do what I do and teach what I do, and coach my clients in the way that I do.
Wow. And the first, you said The Business of the 21st Century was the other book. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I have read. Haven't read The Business of Tree. Sounds like something I should pick up. That's great. So
Good read.
You've really been a good student in your eternal learning cycle that you've now turned to offer to other people. So let's talk about that a little bit. So let's say, I want to on into my world and get, what does that look like to hire you as a business strategist? What's the process?
Yeah. So I have 5 components in my coaching program, and I always start off with mindset because mindset is where it all starts, the foundation. So in that mindset, I ensure that my clients, they operate in that genius zone. If they don't know what that genius zone is, we figure it out and we make sure that we're operating from that center. And then from there, we eliminate that imposter syndrome, and then we start planning for success. So that's the foundation period. Second component is the fundamental building blocks, what I call the Sharp 3. So I go in and I help my clients redefine their niche, identify their ideal client avatar, and then help package their products and services into an irresistible offer if they don't already have an offer already. So after we cover those fundamental building blocks of the Sharp 3, then I'll go into creating that strong online presence. And this is where I specialize in, and I introduce funnels and attraction marketing. And so from establishing that strong online presence, then I'll go into generating organic traffic. And then from there, once we have a system down packed, everything is out and running into the world, but then we go into tweaking and tracking. So we track those numbers, we track the data, see what's working, see what's not working, we tweak. And then once we have everything pretty much in a locked-in system, conversion rates are looking good, then it's time to scale. But those are the 5 components that I cover in my program.
You really are a strategist. It's great. It's so comprehensive. I love it. Okay, now is this just that someone just starting out, that's on a big budget, can they afford you? Can they do? Because I think they would save a lot of money if they did, if they could get started.
Yeah, so my program is a 12-week program. Yeah, it really just all depends. But my program is a 12-week program. I work one-on-one, hands-on, no more than 7 clients at one time. And the program right now is at $3,000 full payment. So it definitely is, something that will save them a lot of time. I have a step-by-step system just from everything all of my failures that I've learned from, all the successes. I combine all of that into this signature step-by-step system that I teach. And it saves them all the time, energy, and money I wasted in my journey so that no one has to go through that ever again, because you don't really have to. Just get you someone who has walked the walk, who talks the talk, and, just tag team and go from there.
Well, yeah, I have a friend who spent about $25,000 trying to learn that, and I'm not sure he ever did. He would have saved a lot of money working with you. Yeah, because there's so much out there, and you've really weeded it out for people, which is terrific. Especially if, I can imagine someone who is to big things don't really have time to go and learn all of that. They need to just be focused on their big deal, whatever it is they're doing.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, very affordable for really setting someone up to become an influencer, essentially, in the area that they're focused on. That's terrific. I love that you only work with 7 people at a time. So how long a process is it, typically?
Yeah.
I know that's probably a rough estimate, but...
It's a 12-week process. And so the program is individually tailored to the individual that's coming in. So everyone starts at different points, whether someone already has their business off the ground and they're looking to scale, whether they're, looking to pinpoint some of the fundamental things. Everyone has their own kind of time frame, but my program is for 12 weeks. So we meet once a week for 12 weeks, get through these 5 components, and by the time they leave me, they have all of these things down packed. They know exactly what they need to do to reach those set goals that they had set before the program started.
Got you. So now somebody could then, if they wanted to parlay that into someone to manage it because it's already set up.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? If someone doesn't have time to really deal with social media and all of that, then you would just, and you refer them over to people, or you can help people get set up so that it can be maintained, all that great work you've done?
Yes.
Like at the end of the 12 weeks, now you have all this. Yeah, what happens then?
So at the end of the 12 weeks, it's pretty much on them whether they want to continue forward with me, and then we can continue working on a 12-month span, or, they can just take what they learned and just scale and just go continue doing some transformational things in the world that they're here to do.
That's wonderful. Right. So you've really caused them in a very clear, concise amount of time to become self-efficient, if that's what they'd like to do. That's just wonderful. I think this is one of the most clear approaches I've heard. And not to say there aren't other, great strategists out there, but in terms of what I'm hearing from you, I know what I'm getting. I know what it's going to cost me. I know what I have at the end published. And I think that's really a wonderful, you really have combined your engineering mind with your strategy and your heart for helping people beautifully. That's wonderful. I love that. So now, what would you say, it might be an obvious question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Why are you so passionate about this?
It's something about seeing a beautiful idea manifest itself into reality. And for me to just be able to play a part and help guide that experience, that just does everything for me, Amy. It's being able to see that light bulb just light up inside of someone else and see that, they are tapping into the potential that they have, that I see, because I see it. That's why I coach. I see it, and seeing that they can tap into that and bring that out and help them to reach their full potential. That's my joy. That's what I love doing. That's why I do what I do. That's why I have so much love for it.
That's so great. Okay, well now, looking at in your own life, how has taking this step, made a difference for you personally? How's it?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that last question? You went out a little bit.
Yeah, how has this career change and what you're doing now made a difference for you?
Man, so the one cause that I care about is complete freedom. So stepping away from the corporate life, and for me, again, I was in the project management space, so, working easily over 40 hours a week is the norm. So just being able to take back my time, being able to not be set to a limited income, that alone gives me the freedom to do whatever it is I want to do, impact the world however I want to impact them. And I wake up and I call the shots, and, from sun up to sundown, that has been the biggest change for me.
That's so great. Okay, now there's other people who want that. How can they get involved? Say someone's heard all this and they say, I need Alante. What do they do?
Well, you can follow me at, I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn. You can just find me at Alante Collier, or go to my website, alantecollier.com, and all of the information is right there. We can get on the call and get going, see if we're a good fit and get going.
Oh, that's simple.
Yes.
What is your secret to keeping your freedom, your work, your life balanced that gives you that ability to fit in so much?
The balance for me is two things, Amy. One is having what I call a DMO, daily method of operations. for me, I have 5 steps that I go through each and every day just to make sure that I'm balanced and I stay centered. And so I first start off with my morning ritual. I go through that, and then I go into review what my
So what's your morning
to-do list is
ritual?
with my-
Hang on. Too fast. Tell us the morning ritual.
Yeah. So my morning ritual is I start off with devotion. So I start off spending a few minutes with God and just quiet. And so from there, then I go into meditation, and then I start getting active. I start getting the blood and the juices flowing in the body, right? And then from there, then I'll go into doing some gratitude work, and then I'll go into reviewing what my day consists of. What is my to-do list? What are my goals for the day? So after I review my goals, then I just hit the ground running and I knock off those goals. I only set 3 goals, no more than 3 goals each day, no more than 3 things to do each day. Once I, accomplish those things, and then at the end of the day, I come back and I recharge from the day. So I have some me time. I do something that I love doing, whether that's journaling, whether that's listening to music, lighting candles, just being, just being in nature, whatever it is that I want to do. I make sure that I have some set time just to recharge. And then the last thing that I do, the 5th step in that, my 5-step system for my DMO, is I review the day. What went great? What didn't go so great? And then I analyze, how can I stop that from happening again? How can I improve? And then I look forward to what the next day could bring. And this is it. This is my 5-step process to keeping me balanced, keeping me centered, and just keeping me in high vibes, high energy.
That's so great. You even have a strategy for your DMO. I love it.
I love these strategies of everything.
Yeah, it's great. Well, that saying, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So I think that's probably one of your best validations that you do a great job when you take someone on because in treatment. It's so great.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we're all excited to find out, and follow Alante. What's next? What do you see for yourself? You've done so much already.
I'm just getting started. I am just getting started. What's next is I have my last round of my program later on this year, and I have an ebook coming out soon over Facebook's Lead Generation, and who knows what the future holds from there. Who knows? But for now, I just love working hands-on. I love working one-on-one. So I'll be doing this for a little longer, and then launching that ebook out there and just doing what I do until the next thing comes.
And do you see yourself, it's so good working one-on-one. Does this translate to a group at any point in your mind? Does it translate to speaking on this topic? Would it be as effective in a group even?
It would, and I'm currently in a group mentorship myself. Every coach should have a coach. But eventually I would like to step back and have a greater impact on a larger scale and do group coaching. But that won't be for, another year or so. But that's definitely in the future plan.
I figured you have that in the plan.
Right.
I love that you don't rush into things.
Too.
Right. That's so great. Well, I love your passion and your energy, which is evidence that, you're in your genius zone and you're following what really brings joy to you, which is, the way I'm hearing what you're saying, I picture you as that who, when someone's in front of you, you see their greatness. And so they experience their own greatness that maybe they forgot about, maybe they forgot they had. And that's a beautiful gift. It's a wonderful contribution. And you've made a business out of letting people experience their own greatness and then monetize it so they can have a life they love. Brilliant. Just brilliant, which is exactly for yourself. Yep.
Thank you.
So great. You're such an inspiration. Alante, do you have any parting wisdom that you'd like to share with our listeners before we close out today?
Yeah. If you can dream it, you can absolutely live it. The power all lies in your hands. The only thing that is ever stopping you from reaching your dreams, reaching those goals, is you. So once you get out of your own way, the world is truly yours. That's all it is.
Really true, isn't it? Yeah, and I think the further we get away from actually pursuing that, the more we forget them. You know, you look at people that have been beaten down by life so much that they've lost their hope. And I love that in your work, people's hope gets restored. And you really give people a chance. If they've got anything going on at all, they can probably manage to find a way to get your support and your strategies, which are just spot on. Very impressed with you, young lady.
Wow.
Thank you for what you're committed to and the difference you make in the world, truly. And thank you for joining us today. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Amy. Thank you.
Well, in closing, I want to thank Alante Collier. Look her up. Boy, she is really something else. Of course, I want to thank all of our listeners for making this show possible. Our producer of the Divas That Care Network, Candace Gish. Candace redefines the word diva to mean a courageously self-assured woman. I think Alante fits that to a T. The Divas That Care Network offers women of all walks a platform for sharing their voice in the world. We invite you to join us. Visit divasthatcare.com to hear more inspiring stories. And one of these days, maybe you'll work with Alante and you'll get that confidence up yourself and be willing to add your voice to the conversation. We hope we'd love to have you. That's all for today. Signing off. Thanks, everyone. Until next time, have a great evening. Good night, all.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.